Hello, everyone. My name is Ranmay, your host for tonight at E-Coffee with Experts. Today, we have a very special guest, Mr. Jens Rhoades from Floodlight SEO. And we are really pleased and honored to have him on our show tonight. Mr. Jens, he is the president of Floodlight SEO and has been in the digital marketing industry for more than 15 years now. And today we are going to discuss more about, SEO local strategy. And we would love to, and we are anticipating to hear a lot of insights about that from Jens. So, before we move forward, I would, like you, Jens, to introduce yourself to your audience today, and we'll pick it up from there.
All right. I am Jens Rhoades, and I've been doing this since 2003. So I guess I'm going to have to update the over 15 years to be 20. But yeah, it's been a long time since I've done it. Before I was in internet marketing, I was a high school English teacher, and one of the things that I taught was media literacy and propaganda, how people make other people think and do what they want them to. And one day I took a mental health day, right? A sick day. And I was bored by 10 o'clock in the morning or so and started looking around, just playing around on the internet, came across an ad for how to make money online with little ads. And it was just a course on Google AdWords and affiliate marketing. And so I just did what it said. And by the end of the day, I'd made like $9 in, commissions. And I thought, holy, wow, this is amazing. And I started down the affiliate path, and then things kind of grew from there. Within a few months, I was making more as an affiliate marketer than I was as a teacher. And then a few years into that, I started working with clients just because as an affiliate marketer, you stop, it's not as, you don't get as much social interaction. You don't feel as good about what you're doing as you do when you're, teaching. But with client consulting, you help people and make their lives better. And it's just psychologically much more enriching. So, yeah. So I've been doing that ever since.
Of local businesses these days?
Well, there's, okay. So if you take a long view, the changes are almost always towards more and more willing and eager to take their marketing online. And because it, like when I started, everybody was, the challenge was convincing a company that they needed a website, right? And, and then taking it further into SEO, they had to be taught what that was even. And, now, everybody knows that they need a website, to the point where even companies that don't use their websites at all have a website. And now they know what SEO is. The problem is there's just a glut of bad companies out there that do SEO or claim they do SEO. And so, the trick really is standing apart and not getting painted with that same brush. Because everybody who owns a business, receives, a dozen emails every day, every week, about, SEO and how to do it. So it's changed from this thing where, what is that, to, nah, stay away from me. That's not good stuff. So there's some of that, but everything is getting more and more, it's getting easier and easier to sell because people know they need it. And they might not like that they need it, but they know they need it because they know that that's where they go to look for goods and services, is the internet. And so it's very easy to convince them that if they're not, there, they need to be. So, yeah. More recently, the COVID and the lockdowns have changed businesses a lot. With a lot of businesses have trouble with finding the people to fill the jobs, right? Because for a long time people were getting unemployment, and it was a good package for them. And so it was a trick to do that, and it hasn't recovered in a lot of industries. Like right now, right now in America today, there are more jobs than there are, more people working in America than there has been at any time in the past. So unemployment is really low, but you still have this problem, especially in like the trades, where people are just not able to find people to work the crews. And so, it's a challenge. And so for a while, the conversation was going to a thing where it was going in a direction where, like the normal conversation is, we can get you more business. And the response to that was, that's great, but are you going to get me guys to do the work? Because I can't handle any more business than what I currently have. And so that's easing up a tiny bit now, thankfully. But in some niches, it's still really hard. And so that's that. But in any niche, there's still going to be winners and losers. And so, it's SEO is still pretty essential for that.
The awareness has increased overall, right? During all these years, the awareness has obviously increased from the client's end as well. So
yes,
easy sell, but to retain it again, to retain them, it almost like, it is again a difficult task if you're not up to the mark in terms of, delivering the results that you promised at the time of getting them onboarded.
Yeah, it's retaining clients is actually the most important thing for an SEO company to do, because like selling is, well, okay. For some companies, it is. For my company, it is. Like, I'm not a brilliant salesman. I'm just not. And so when I get a client, I have to keep them for a long time. Otherwise, I wouldn't stay in business. And so I've got clients that have stayed with me for, over a decade. And the only reason that happens because I don't have I don't have long-term commitments. It's everything's month to month. If ever you want to part ways, that's very easy to do. And so I have to perform. Otherwise, it's, I'd be out of business. So,
right.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Since we're talking about selling, right? So, before getting a client on board, or in fact, if you're pitching to a client, right, what are, back-end homework that you or your team does in terms of the research, their visibility online? So how do you go about, pitching, preparing the pitch, or probably getting them on board? What all research work is being done at the back end at Floodlight? What is the process? How does it look like?
Well, we do some technical analyses, obviously. Like, we look at the competitive landscape, the strength of the people that are winning right now compared to the strength of the client site or the prospects at that point. They haven't signed yet. And then, we compare them just so that we kind of get an idea of where they're at, where they want to go, and how tough it's going to be to get there. And once that's kind of figured out, we can use that and combine that with the keywords that we want to go after. And we have an all keywords approach. We don't, like a lot of SEO companies are like, we'll do a 10 keyword package or a 15 keyword package. And that seems false to me. Like it doesn't seem realistic to me. Like if there are keywords there, like, because SEO, it's just a matter, like if you do SEO for those 10 keywords, you could rank for more keywords just by having the right content on the page. Like, because all of those links that come in and all of the work that goes into the SEO, it's kind of like a tide that raises all of the keywords, all of the boats, right? And so it seems like wasting time, wasting money to artificially contract that. But the other thing we do to kind of prepare for it really is we do some research to determine if we should be working with the company, if SEO is indeed the right solution. Because one of the things that we've been hitting now is people come to us and they want to do, they want SEO, okay? But we look at their site, and there's things they need to kind of take care of before SEO really becomes a benefit to them. And so, because we know more than them about this whole thing, it kind of falls on us to say, pump the brakes there. It's time for you to do this first and this first and this first, and then you come back and then we'll talk about SEO. Because the worst thing that you can do is sell to somebody who shouldn't buy. right? And so, and because we know more, we kind of have to be the people that decide that. Otherwise, it's a bad situation. It's unethical. These people need help, and they don't know what they don't know. And so, sometimes the answer is not SEO for you, not now. But the other thing we look at is their reputation, and we do some research on we read the reviews. We do some analysis looking into to see if they've been written about, see if there's complaints about them at the rip-off reports or scam, these scam sites, Better Business Bureau, things like that. And the whole point of that is what we do makes sites more popular. It's just that's, the whole point of what we do. We just make them more popular, a bigger deal, and they make more money. But there are some companies that are just bad, and it is not good to make them, to spread them out more and make them more powerful if they're not providing a good service. I've done that a few times, and it's gutted me, because I was working with this one company. I won't name names, but they were a renewable energy company. They sold windmills to farmers.
Okay.
And their whole business model was you go out and they went out and they went to farmers and they said, okay, let's put up a windmill on your property. You'll own it 100%, and it'll generate this much electricity, and you'll get checks from, the government because of all the surplus that you sell back. And your entire operation here is going to be, basically free. They're not going to pay any energy for any of it. Mm-hmm. And they sold to a whole bunch of farmers, and it was, I found out, and then I stopped working with them. But I found out a few months after that their business model was actually just to go and sell to the farmers, mm-hmm. and then take the money and use it to buy expensive cars. Like that, they put up one windmill to show that they had the ability to do that. And even that one didn't work. And so and when I think of all the people that my marketing hurt, that's a tough pill to swallow. And so it kind of behooves us to do that due diligence and make sure that we're working for people that should be worked for.
The business is legit or not.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Right. It's very important. One of the earlier points that you mentioned also, kind of brings me back to my experience in terms of dealing with clients, wherein, you first of all educate them, right?
Mm-hmm.
They still might, after that as well, say that, we want our online presence. That's a call, end of the day. But what we can do as the experts from the space is that, you would want to educate them. And then taking that final call is still in their final this thing. But we should at least educate them. And this ethical fact, which you mentioned, I'm sure a lot of business are taking this up seriously, but we have a long way to walk before we achieve that, complete, in terms of transparency, having, doing marketing, SEO for legit businesses. It's a very good point that you've raised, and with a very good example, actually. Farmers buying that because of your marketing. So yeah, I can completely understand. Very good point, Jens. Really appreciate
Thanks.
It and respect it. Great. So, since we're talking about local SEO, what do you feel is the most important, local search ranking factor, if you were to name one? I know there are many, but yeah.
I'm going to complicate things a little bit. So it kind of depends on what you're trying to accomplish. For a lot of companies, Maps is where it's at, Google Maps, because whenever you do a search for let's say a local plumber, right, or a chiropractor or whatever, you get that map pack with the 3 local ones, and the most important factor in that, which is angering to me, is proximity. And so Google, every time they make an algorithm change to the Google local algorithm, it weighs proximity more and more. When that Google Maps used to come out, we used to be able to relatively easily dominate an entire metro with one listing in Google My Business. or Google Business Profile, or whatever they're calling it now.
Yeah.
But every time they come up with an algorithm change that just gets slow, that the proximity, the radius of where you can rank in that map pack, because there's only 3 of them, it just gets lower and lower and lower and lower. And it's on purpose, because they don't want that to be dominated by one company. They want that to show what's near you, right? And so if you're a local business that can pull a lot of business from your immediate vicinity, think like 5-mile radius, then Google Maps is going to be incredibly important to you. And so right now, the thing that's moving the needle the most for Google Maps is reviews. And that's annoying, because reviews used to not matter so much, right? Like, it wasn't a ranking factor at all. In fact, if there are people watching this who talked to me years ago and they hear me say that reviews are now the biggest ranking factor, they'll probably be like, you said reviews weren't a ranking factor. And that's true. I did say that. And either I was very wrong, or it's just the way it is. And so, like, Google is continually trying to make ranking factors based on things that you, the marketer, you, the business owner, cannot control, right? Like, that's where everything that they're moving is going. So every time they come up with a change to the algorithm, it's on a signal that the business owner or marketers have less control over than they used to. Like, when we started doing SEO, if you wanted to rank for a keyword, all you had to do was put that keyword on the page 1 million times, and Google would read it and say, oh, wow, this says, Minneapolis plumber, 5,000 times. It must really be about Minneapolis plumber. And so, just trusted us, and it was dumb, and we were, greedy. And so we did it. And then, that stopped working, right? Because Google gets wise. And then it was like, oh, okay, well, we can make 1 billion links that all have Minneapolis plumber as their as their like anchor text, what the link says, and Google would be like, wow, that's amazing, and then it would rank us, and then they take that away, and now it's more about what, like, the pages that link to you, what do they say, and what do the links that come to them say, so it's like, it's every movement is, you can see where Google's going with it, and knowing that, you can kind of anticipate what's coming down the pipe next. It's just, where's the things that are in our control, and how can they look at things that are outside of our control, and then ultimately, how can you get that control before they make what you're doing currently obsolete? So I would say, back to the question, the most important thing right now is proximity, because that's out of your control. The businesses just are where they are. And reviews, because that's out of your control, unless you're willing to make fake reviews, which some people are, but it's hard to get them to stick. I know a lot of guys who do, they wear a blacker hat of SEO than I do. And so, they'll generate a lot of fake reviews for their clients, and they're having trouble sticking, because Google's getting smarter and smarter about that. But ultimately, the way to do that really is just to automate your review, getting process. Make sure that everybody gets asked for a review, ask them to be specific in what you had them do, because then the words that, like, the more specific they are, the more they go into depth about what you did for them, the more that you're going to get the real semantically related reviews to your goods and services into your reviews. And that's going to trick it. That's going to flip that switch in Google. So that's huge. Aside from that, clearly listing all of your services and having that be mirrored on your site, so that Google can see that there's a high correlation. Making sure that your name and address and phone number are matching across all of your properties. So, like, the way to do it is to go to Google and to enter in, your name and address and phone number and make your Google listing, because Google's going to have a specific way to do it. And it's not necessarily the way that the post office does it, lists it, and it's not necessarily the way that you would list it. And so and if you want to change it to what you want, it's just going to revert back to how Google wants that format to be for that address. And so get what they say and then propagate that across all of your other properties. Put that on your social medias, put that on your website, put that on all of your citations so that it matches exactly, because Google does not like ambiguity. And so do that. And aside from that, one of the next things that is really important right now is the user interactions. Like, do people interact with your listings? Do they do the search? Do they pick you? Do they click onto the thing? Do they click to call? Do they click for driving directions? Things like that. And there's ways to spoof all of that, but it's very, very complicated and a little bit risky. And so if you're working with somebody, like if you're working with your own kind of listing that you own for your business or for a lead gen property or something like that, you can play kind of a little bit fast and loose with that, because if it gets dinged, if it gets penalized, it's yours. Like you're presumably aware of the risk and you're tolerating it. But if you're working with somebody else's business, then unless they're very aware of the risk to reward ratio, you have to play it safe with them, because like not ranking quite as high is much better than ranking super high and then having it all taken away because you broke Google's terms of services and they caught you. You know what I mean? That's their livelihood. We can't mess with that. So.
Right. So, picking up from what you mentioned, reviews, obviously, it's very, very critical, very important, right? For a local business more so. So, any strategy that you follow at Floodlight to help your clients get more reviews?
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah.
What would be that? Yeah.
Okay. So the way to do it is to automate it, because people hate asking for reviews. And the reason is because we're scared. Like, I don't want to ask you for a review because what if you don't really like me? What if you don't think it was great? And that hurts my ego. Just the idea that I could ask you and you could feel like, I don't want to do that. That hurts my ego to the point where it shuts it down and you aren't able to do it. Very few people can overcome that kind of thing, right? Or they have to have a lot of confidence in themselves and like kind of natural salesmen. They can do it a little bit better, but most people can't do that just because their ego gets in the way. So the way to do it is to completely remove yourself from the process. And so what we do, and there's a lot of systems that do this, but what we do is we have a system where our clients enter the names, cell phones, and emails of all of their clients when they're done doing the work, right? Yeah. And the system, you just enter their information and then you're done, right? And then the system takes care of everything after that. And it emails and texts them, says, hey, thanks for working with us. We'd love to get your feedback. And people love to, people have no problem giving feedback, right? Like that's not a big ask. And so it takes them to a page and they say, how would you rate us, on a 5-star kind of system? And then what we do is, if it's like, let's say the client has a, 4.2 star rating, right? Well, we don't want to have anything that's a 4-star or under get put publicly, because even a 4-star review, which is pretty good, is going to take that 4.2 star review rating and drag it down a little bit, right? But if they have like a 3.5 star review rating, we'll allow 4 stars to go through. And so you say, okay, how would you rate us? And let's say they rate them 5 stars. Then they're automatically they're redirected to a page that says, great, it would mean the world to us if you'd leave that feedback publicly. Here's a link to all of our review sites that we collect reviews on. And so and then they can go do that and get reviews from people who like them. And then if it says, like, let's say they give them a 2-star review, right? Well, then that goes to a page that says, oh no, we always try for a 5-star experience. Tell us what went wrong so that we can, see what's going on, so that we can fix it, so that we can make sure it doesn't happen to somebody else. And that way, if somebody had a bad experience with you, you might not know that, right? And the problem is they're going to go and vent their spleen publicly, because that's what people do. People complain, in the absence of a system, the only reviews that get left half the time are going to be, more than half the time, are going to be bad reviews, even for a good business, because that's just human nature. If they get what they expected, they feel no compulsion to tell the world about it. They got what they expected, but if they didn't get what they expected in a bad way, well, then they want to tell the world, because they're on a crusade to save the world from your bad business, even though they might be crazy. And so then what happens is happy reviews get asked to be left publicly. Negative critical reviews get private feedback that then you can address and turn it around so that it can become a 5-star review. Because, half the time, half the time they're just nuts because people are crazy. Half the time, though, they have a legitimate concern, and you would want that to be fixed as the business owner. You want that to, that's just how people are. We're proud of our businesses. We want them to be right. So that's what I would say that's our strategy for getting reviews. And it's important because how people make decisions is really, really simple. Okay. So I don't care what you have. If they need a thing, they need a plumber, they need a chiropractor, they need whatever it is, somebody's going to get paid. Somebody's going to get that job. Right. And so all you have to do to get that job is to get in front of them and then show them, yeah, we do that thing that you need. And then put enough evidence in front of them that other people have made the decision that they're thinking of making and look back on it positively. They thought it was a good experience, because we don't know anything about the stuff we need. I don't know enough about plumbing to hire a competent plumber based on on plumbing knowledge. I just don't. I don't know enough about the human body to hire a chiropractor based on their strategies. All I know is I need what I need. These people made the same decision and did it. So reviews change the color of your stars. They do. They just fix it.
Right. So, you kind of filter it, make the business owners aware in terms of where is the problem, what they have to do in terms of, kind of taking those correction measures, and then probably, push them back to the public forum in order to get them a good review against those as well. Right. Yeah.
Because everything comes down to having a review out there in the world that said things went wrong, but they made it right. That's actually a stronger review than everything went perfectly, right? At least having a mix of them. You don't want to have only everything went wrong and then they made it right. But, having a few of those sprinkled in is gold, because everybody knows that things go badly. We don't live in a perfect world. And so if you're dealing with a company and you can see that, oh, okay, when things go badly, what can I expect? Oh, well, They're going to make it right, which is also why when you get reviews, positive or negative, it's important to respond to them. And so when you respond to them, just acknowledge, if it's positive review, it's easy. You just, acknowledge that it was a joy to work with them. I'm really happy that they're happy, done. But if it's a negative review, you need to, even if it kills you, you need to fall on your sword. Even if they're nuts, you need to fall on your sword, because the tendency is to want to say, to defend yourself, right? Because you didn't screw up, right? They just had unrealistic expectations or something like that. But you can't do that, because the people that are, and you're not doing this for the person that leaves a review, you're doing this for the people that are reading the reviews, right? Mm-hmm. And so if the review seems like to a, person who doesn't know anything about what's going on here, doesn't know the situation, doesn't know the people involved, if the review seems to raise real issues with the service or the product, and you respond defensively, then that shuts people down, because they don't want to do business with people. They want to know that they're going to be taken care of if things go badly. And so if you respond with, oh no, I'm sorry that went that way, it's not supposed to, give me a call so that we can make it right. You don't want to get into details of how you're going to make it right, because that's just a bad idea. But if you can do that, own up to, oh no, things didn't go well, call me. We'll fix it. Because that's how people want to be taken care of if things go poorly on their job. And so, just that's how you do it.
Great. We also touched upon Google Business Profile. I know that is what they call it these days, right? So, how does the Google Business Profile, kind of helps in boosting one's rankings? And, what is your strategy in terms of optimizing any businesses, Google's, Google Business Profile?
Our Google Business Profile, like it's fill it out completely. Like as much of anything that it asks for gets filled out, because it's important. Then we make sure that the content on the site mirrors the services and things that we talk about there. It's important to amp up the review generation process. You can make sure, get people to interact with it. Like you can make links that you can send out to people, like your appointments in an hour, here's driving directions, so that they click that and it opens up the driving directions thing, and that sends a signal to Google and things like that. So there's a lot of tactics for it, and it's changing so fast that I'm hesitant to even get into the details, not because it's a secret, but because anything I say now in 2 months is going to sound really old to somebody in the know. And so, like the things we do now are not the things we did 5 months ago. And so, yeah, it's crazy how fast it changes. Crazy.
It's an ever evolving industry. That's why it is the way it is, right?
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. Talking about citation, what are the best practices that you follow? I mean, which listings you go after? How many, and how often do you do it?
Okay, so for linking, there's kind of the base citations that everybody gets, and you want to get them, right? The whole name of the game for SEO, especially in the early stages of SEO, is just negating the advantages that the competitors have. All right, so you go through and you just get the normal citations that everybody gets, and then you go after the hyper local ones, right? Like you want to be in the Chamber of Commerce. If there's any communities about the or any websites about the community, you want to get in there if you can. You get as many really local ones as possible, and then we do a backlink analysis on all of our competitors that are winning on page one. And we kind of see where their backlinks are coming from, and any commonalities between them are fair game for us to pick up too, because if more than one person got a link from a place, then anybody can get a link from that place. And so we get a link from all of the places that have 2 or more commonalities between the top 10 people. And what that does is it negates the advantages that they have from those links, so that our site, our client site, is as important to Google's eyes as these guys. And often because they're not making, okay, so like these 2 sites over here might have a common link, and these 2 sites over here might have a common link, but because we're getting both of them, like that puts us above all of them, because we're getting all of the commonalities, right? We're not just going after and getting the links of this one site. We're getting all the links we can get of this site and this site and this site and this site. And so oftentimes that's enough to put us up even above where they are, just by doing that. And we don't even have to do anything crazy with links, just negate their advantage and then kill it on on-site content. So that's it. And back to one of the first questions, like we talked about the local business, the Google My Business, Google Business Profile. But if you're in a business that pulls from a much wider area, and you can't really expect to get a lot of play from your immediate vicinity, then Google My Business becomes less attractive. Like you're going to pull a lot more from the normal, the stuff below the maps, the normal page. And the way to do that is simply to make sure that you have content about all of the communities that you want to rank in. And so, like if you want to pull from 5-10 different communities, have pages about them, have pages that combine those communities with the services, because Google's just matching, like, what's this page about and what to the people who are doing the search. And so they can be doing a search for, let's keep with plumbers, doing a search for a plumber, and they are in, let's say, Maple Grove, Minnesota. And so Google knows where they're searching from, and they know they're interested in plumbers. And so they can take that information and say, okay, well, where are my Maple Grove plumber pages? Well, these plumbers are in Maple Grove. This is a page about plumbing in Maple Grove. Let's put it in there. And so you can do that even if you're not in that community. You can pull clients from it, and that's fantastic for people for like the service businesses that want to pull from like an entire side of a metropolitan area, right? You just need to have the content, and it can't be thin content. It can't be "we proudly serve" and then list all of the towns, because that's weak sauce. It's not enough to convince Google that you're really about it. So you have to do more.
Right. Talking about off-page activities, apart from citations, what all do you suggest to your clients in order to, kind of off-page activities apart from citations?
We do backlinks, like guest posts on blogs. We used to do private blog networks that we would own and control, but we don't do those anymore. We just saw the effectiveness of that decline. And so we jettisoned all of that before it became toxic.
Very
so,
cool.
Yeah.
And any tips for building localized, landing pages? I'm sure you must be doing that. So how do you go about it? Okay.
So, yeah. If you're going to build a local landing page, like the top of your page, like you combine the service with the location, right? Service with the location. And so this page is about, let's go to dentist this time, teeth whitening in Edina, Minnesota, right? Teeth whitening, Edina. And so the whole thing is going to be about that. Now at the top of the page, you're going to want to put your call to action and either a button or a form to get their information, and you're going to want to put testimonials for that specific service there, right? So that at the top of the page, without even scrolling to see the content, they can see they do what I need. People have made the choice and thought it was good, and here's how I get a hold of them. Okay, because that's all that people need to do for their due diligence. And then underneath that, then you have to write a lot of content about teeth whitening in Edina, right? And so, and you really do need to nail, like, on-site SEO is becoming crazy important. If you look at the people who are winning, they are not doing the old style of on-site where you just, kind of said teeth whitening Edina and then wrote whatever you wanted to, right? Like there's semantic relationships that have to be put in there. It's intense. And so, we write that content and we put it down there. And I would say 1% of the humans who ever go to that page will read that content. But it's there for Google. It has to be good, and it has to be good enough that if a person reads it, they're like, okay, yeah, this is good and helpful, but it's for Google. And most of the time, the people won't even scroll. They'll just be like, yep, this is what I need. I'll sign up and at least talk to the dentist. Yeah.
True. So see, since you actually mentioned about you gave an example about dentist. So my next question brings me to the fact that, let's say, you have a dentist in LA, and how relevant it would be to pick the same content of that website and use it for a dentist in Philadelphia or any other region for that matter.
Mm-hmm. So I'm sorry, what was the question?
So let's say if you're doing localized SEO listings and everything for a dentist and for a dentist website in LA, okay. Mm-hmm. So will it be relevant to pick up kind of the same content and do the same kind of work for a dentist based out of any other location, let's say Texas, Dallas, Philadelphia, mm-hmm. anywhere else? So will that make sense?
Yeah. And I don't want to, like, we don't reuse the content. Like a lot of places that specialize in a niche, like say they only work with dentists, like they kind of have a library of, here's our, service pages. Here's our supporting pages. Here's all of our pages. And so they just kind of plug in the dentist into that carbon copy of a website. And that can work somewhat, but it's still pretty weak sauce. So we want to make sure that the content is different between areas. But other than that, yeah, no, the work is the same. Like it's the same thing. You want to make sure that you have pages on the service content. You want to make sure that you have the location content. You want to make sure that you combine the content into very specific service location-based stuff for that. You want to make sure that you have supporting content underneath that's just kind of more informational, because Google more and more rewards what they consider to be an authority site. And so you want to have content, and not just a blog, but pages that kind of reside as a layer underneath the pages you want to rank, that just are there to make Google go, oh, wow, these guys are an authority, because then it'll make the ranking pages, they'll pay more attention to that, and they'll reward that, even though it's no better than, if it was just standing there alone, right? So yeah, there's a lot of stuff, and it does apply to all of the things, which is kind of why, like, I'm starting to go more into the concrete niche with like a new website and everything like that, because it's just so much easier to scale when it comes to if you pick a niche. And so, we're still taking clients from, a wide variety of niches, but I'm going to go more aggressively after that one, just because it's just a smarter business move for me. And I like working with concrete guys because they're chill.
Nice. Yeah. So, voice search, we all talk about it. What is your take on that, on voice search?
On why search?
Yeah.
Because that's where the customers are. Like, I didn't choose search and then sell search engine optimization because I knew search. I moved there because that's where the biggest bang for your buck was. Like, if I thought there was more benefit to my clients in Instagram or TikTok, that's where I'd be, right? But search is where the money is, because people aren't, like, at least in the niches that I work with, they fill a need, and people know that they have that need. They need help. Like, they've got water where water shouldn't be in their house, so they need a plumber, right? Or their roof is leaking, or their teeth hurt. So it's like, when people have that problem, they go to the search engines right now, and they type in, what they're looking for and where they're looking for it, and Google gives them a list. And if you're on that list, then you have a shot at that job. And if you're not, you don't. It's just that simple. And so why search? Because what else are you going to do? Stand out on your street corner and scream, I'm a plumber, hire me? It's not going to work,
Right. So I was referring to voice search, Jens. What is your thoughts on voice search?
I think that voice search, for some niches, I think it's great, for like restaurants, things like that. Basically, if it's something that, or if it's a really low due diligence, right? Or very emergency based, like, I think that voice search can be good. And getting people into that it's not hard to get people like listed with Alexa, things like that. But I think that for things that require more due diligence, things that you want to see reviews, things that you want to, look at the pictures and make sure that they do it. Like, if you're wanting to get a house built, you're not going to say, hey, Alexa, send me, connect me to a house builder, right? Or a home builder. You're gonna need to, see the houses and, see if it works with you. So for most of my clients, it's not where the money is, but for some, yeah, I can see it. Like, like if I owned a Chinese restaurant, I'd definitely be in, the voice search, right?
True.
Yeah.
That is what it is mostly used for, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, if it's for low stakes, I need this now,
Right. Immediate need. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. So, when we talk about, local SEO strategy, so let's say if we have a business, which is spread across multiple locations, let's say cities or zip codes, postcodes, whatever. And how do you plan location specific pages, which will ensure that you are, not creating doorway pages or spammy pages for that matter. How do you go about, building the strategy for these kind of clients who are, based out of multiple locations?
Okay. So the way to do that is the way to do that most elegantly, I think, is to treat everything like to treat all the locations as if they were almost a franchise, right? So you take your homepage and you so you got your homepage and you got your services page. That's kind of about the whole, like what we do. And then, you have the locations pages. And so then you go to a location page and let's say it's Austin, Texas, right? And so then you want to have, the page about Austin, Texas, and that's going to be it needs to have content that goes over kind of like your main services and keywords, but then you want to have services for each one, right? And so service 1 in Austin, Texas, service 2 in Austin, Texas. And so that you can have that there. And they need to be well written. They need to be not just nonsense. It's not going to work if it's nonsense anyway, or the thin content. Even spun content is less effective now than it used to be. And so putting that out there is good. And then you just go on to the next one. And so the next city gets its own hub page of supporting content. And really that's the most elegant way to do it, because you're going to want to probably start building out satellites from all of those main places too, for depending on the service, suburbs, things like that. Because, if people search on a suburb location basis, then you want to have content based around that.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? Clear?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool.
Great. So, finally, any tips or hacks that you want to share with our audience today regarding local SEO, given that, 20 years of experience and all that you're doing, right? So any tips or hacks that our audience will benefit out of maybe?
The main thing is something we've already covered, which is just how, people make things complicated. SEO people make things complicated. Marketers make things complicated. And I think it's partly to make things, to justify, like our existence, to justify, what we charge and all of that. But I think that when you break it down to its most simple, there's a few things that you need to do in order to have success. You need to get in front of people when they're looking for you. And the way to do that is to build out your content so that every service you do, everything that people talk about, all the problems that people will type into Google, that there's relevant content about that specific thing on your site. And make content about all of the places that you want to pull jobs from. And then after that, focus on your reviews. Just get as many reviews as you can, because that's what's going to really move the needle for you. People do what they think people do. And so if you can get, more reviews, more good reviews than your competitors, you're going to win. It's just that simple. Because when people look at those reviews and they go, okay, well, this client, this company has, a 5-star review, but there's 5 reviews and they're from 6 months ago, well, right. That's worrisome. Oh, this one has 500 reviews and there's, 12 from this month, that's the safer bet. Even if the number is 4.8 versus 5, right? Like just the sheer weight of that social proof is going to dominate. So really, as a business owner, like one of the things that I hear all the time from business owners is they just don't know what to do. And they hire people, like they hire an SEO guy, they hire a social media marketer, and they do their jobs and everything. But what can I do? This is what you can do. Reviews. Get the reviews and get it systematized so that it's not you asking for the reviews, because that'll kill your ego and you just won't do it. And so, just have somebody else do it. Have the receptionist do it. Have, your wife do it. Have your kids do it. Just run the system, right? It doesn't matter. Just get the reviews and you'll win. Yeah, because that's how people make decisions. Have other people made this choice? So get in front of them. You need SEO for that. Ads also work for short term, like use ads as kind of like a bridge to when the SEO kind of takes off. Because your ROI, your bigger ROI is going to come from SEO than it will from ads. But if you need jobs next week, ads is the way to go, because SEO takes a while to ramp up. And then, and just don't give up. And if you're with a bad company, or if you find yourself with a company and it's not working, it's not SEO that's the problem. It's the company you're working with that's the problem, right? SEO works like nothing else. So, I talk to a lot of companies that are like, SEO doesn't work because they had a bad SEO company. And, and that's a bummer for them, because there's a lot of money to be picked up if you just bend over and pick it up. So, all right, that's it. That's all I got.
Great. Thank you, Jens. And before we let you go, you want to play a quick rapid fire with you. I hope you're game.
Sure. Rapid fire. Let's do it.
Yeah. Great. So what is your last vacation?
What is my what?
What was your last vacation?
Oh, my last vacation. I took my wife to Portugal this last summer. Yeah, it was great.
Portugal is nice. Yeah. In fact.
Yeah.
Great. And what did you do with your first salary?
My first salary? Yeah. I saved it up and bought a car.
Bought a car?
I was 16. So I just kept it until I had enough to buy a really old car. So.
Oh, okay. But nice. That's quite a way to spend your first salary. Very nice.
Yeah.
Okay. And favorite sport?
I don't care about sports. I don't. No, I don't. I've never been interested. Sometimes I don't care about sports. I guess I would have to say volleyball, because my daughter plays volleyball in school.
Oh, okay.
And that's fun. Yeah.
Nice. Where do we find you on weekends? We know that you're doing a very good job on weekdays, building up or optimizing websites. Where do we find you on weekends then?
On weekends, well, most of them are spent just kind of relaxing and just hanging out with family, hanging out with friends, going to visit my parents or something like that. So we don't do anything overly exciting, that's for sure. We just hang out.
Staying around with family.
Yep.
Great. All right, then. I think we have come to the end of our podcast tonight, and we would like to thank you, Jens, for taking out time and sharing the valuable insights which you did during our conversation today. I'm sure our audience are gonna love it and find it really useful. Go back, use these tactics, and probably give us those feedbacks on our podcast, right? So Thank you so much, and we would love to have you another time for another episode. Yeah. And it was really a pleasure having you over here.
All right. Well, thanks. It was a pleasure on my end as well. Hope it was useful.
Thank you so much. Take care.